In the 1600s, while fighting the Sekigahara army, Toyohisa decided to stay behind to stop the enemy, so his army could retreat. He can't fight them alone, he is seriously injured. While his body is wounded and bleeding profusely, he finds himself teleported to a corridor of doors, facing a man named Marasaki and the doors. He is then pulled into the nearest door and transported to another world, a strange land inhabited by all sorts of fantastical creatures. Here, he meets other great warriors who have died in history, the famous warlord Nobunaga Oda and the ancient archer Yoichi. They are summoned here as drifters to fight against Ends, who were responsible for creating the Ort Empire, and they are trying to destroy humanity. That evening, the village of the elves is attacked by Ort's army. Toyohisa, without a moment's hesitation, rushes to rescue them, because his life is saved by two elf boys, and now it's time for Toyohisa to repay them. In the Ort Empire, making bows or getting involved with drifters is both a felony, so this place is sentenced to death simply because two village boys saved Toyohisa, which is one of the drifters. When the field burns and the fire begins to spread, Toyohisa appears. In just a short time, he easily defeats 4 enemies in a row, causing the rest to panic and flee for their lives. Now, Toyohisa puts all his strength into the sword and throws it away. It is a kumite-style technique, a technique of breaking an opponent's armor with the sheath of a sword, which is one of the fearsome techniques of samurais. When it is all over, everyone invites Toyohisa to sit on a chair. This means that from now on, Toyohisa will be their king, and Nobunaga and Yoichi will assist him in conquering this world. At the same time, in a place at the western end, the army of the demon lord known as Ends appears. They are great warriors summoned to this world just like Toyohisa, but they loathe everything in the world. Their purpose is only one, to eliminate and exterminate humanity. That's why Octoberus, a magical organization, is formed with the task of rallying all the drifters against Ends. But in contrast to drifters, Ends are those who can use magic and they are very strong. Not only that, they also possess a powerful army, including bloodthirsty orc races and even dragon riders. Through the narration of one of the Octoberus, Toyohisa's team learns who their enemy is. Then Toyohisa's team starts taking the first steps in the plan. After capturing a castle, rumors of drifters spread throughout the villages. After that, the elf villages revolt and the Ort Empire gradually falls into decline. Everything goes smoothly until Toyohisa's team's location is discovered. At this time, Ends sent an army to attack them and is led by Jean, a French heroine who has been convicted of witchcraft in the past. That's why Jean is summoned to this world as a member of the Ends. Contrary to Toyohisa, Jean is no ordinary person, she is too proud of her own power. Toyohisa realizes that and cooperates with magician Ominu to create 2 walls as springboards for attack. At this point, Ominu is shocked because Toyohisa's fighting style is no different from that of a demon. At the moment, Yoichi is fighting Gills. Although all of Yoichi's arrows hit the weak points in Gil's body, but somehow he still doesn't die and fights more and more madly. Just then, another party of mages appears and uses a 6-barreled gun to defeat Gills. Then Gills is down, his body turning to salt and then slowly dissipating. This guy is Ominu's master, the great cardinal of the Octoberus. It is his mission to assist the drifters to destroy the Ends. Haruakura is a famous Japanese Omnioji master, accompanied by 2 cowboy drifters and 1 from the Roman Empire. Despite his advanced age, Hannibal is not the average person. He is a master of tactics. When night falls, Toyohisa intends to free the dwarves, but most of the elves oppose it. For them, the dwarves are the enemy, a feud for 100 years. But Toyohisa is still adamant about this. He walks alone in the dark. Upon witnessing that scene, the elves change their mind and help Toyohisa. Using compost, sulfur, and black coal, Toyohisa's team makes gunpowder and uses it to make bombs. But their use is not to attack. It creates sound and light that make enemies scared and terrified. Toyohisa takes advantage of that, causing enemy troops to lose their will to fight and begin to disintegrate. Then the city gate suddenly opens, where it is the largest arsenal of the Empire and is guarded by a heavy army, heavy armor, heavy sword, heavy spear. However, Ominu is nicknamed the Stone Coffin. Her stone wall magic can be called the best in the world. After the heavy armor is destroyed, Ominu follows the orders of an old man from the Roman era, and she uses a stone magic wall, combined with arrows to create ladders on the wall. Then Toyohisa's army sweeps the surrounding soldiers and successfully captures the castle and rescues the entire dwarves. Meanwhile, far north, the scouting team discovers a terrifying secret. Bronze Dragon, one of the 6 great dragons, has joined the army of the Black King. But there's something even more frightening. That is monsters that are plowing the fields. The Black King wants to become a savior by letting monsters take the place of humans. The power of the Black King is to manipulate life. Depending on how he uses it, it can be used to save someone or take someone's life. The next morning, Toyohisa and the dwarves make muskets, a weapon so easy to use that anyone can become a soldier with a single pull of the trigger. That is the fastest way to create an army. Then Count St. Jeremy's group appears. Although he looks like a clown, he is also a drifter, one of the 3 great Orton nobles, and he comes here to sell his empire. In other words, he will help Toyohisa become the new king of the empire. With St. Jeremy's power, the nobles all accept Toyohisa as the ruler. But just then, something unexpected happened. A member of the Black King turns 2 nobles into puppets. He sends soldiers inside the castle. But he does not expect one thing. The warrior known as the most dangerous person in human history, Toyohisa, is present here. In the moment when Rasputin thinks he is the perfect wire puller, Toyohisa simply humiliates him by ignoring and destroying his subordinates. Rasputin leaves in anger because his coup plan has failed. The Black King gives an order that Hijikata and Rasputin will send an army to the Empire to destroy everything there. Toyohisa's team, anticipating that, they begin to assemble an army to prepare for the upcoming battle. Nobunaga will lead the muskets army. Toyohisa will lead the army of dwarves. They will be infantry. Yoichi will lead the elf army as a guerrilla fighter. When night falls, the battle begins. With the power of musket plus smoke and fire, the Black King's army feels afraid and does not dare to attack anymore. At this moment, Toyohisa and an army of dwarves appear to instill fear into the minds and bodies of the enemy. At the command of the captain, the enemy troops divide into small teams and begin to disperse throughout the city. They burn the house to obscure the view of the Nobunaga army. The enemy commander, Hijikata, is very knowledgeable about guns. He recognizes the seal on Toyohisa's shirt from the Shimazu clan. Historically, the descendants of Toyohisa slaughtered the entire clan of Hijikata. When Toyohisa mentions it again, Hijikata gets really angry. He uses high-level magic to create dozens of shadows to attack Toyohisa. Because Toyohisa knows he can't win in head-to-head combat, Toyohisa takes advantage of the surrounding terrain to fight in a non-systematic style. That makes Hijikata feel despised. He uses all his strength in a single slash to directly cut Toyohisa's katana in half. At that time, Toyohisa could only stand still to defend himself. But at that moment, Toyohisa smiled. At this point, Hijikata is really shocked because out of all the enemies he has met, Toyohisa is the craziest. As the battle became intense, the Black King suddenly ordered Hijikata to retreat immediately. This battle, Toyohisa's army wins. The first summary of the series ends here. If you feel good, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching the whole video and see you in the next summaries.